The album was recorded at the brilliantly named The Batcave, which is BJ Cole's own studio. It's even hinted at on the internet that Luke Vibert might have been a big fan of BJ Cole, so he's going to work with one of his heroes potentially. Welcome to Eclectic Selections, the human music recommendation service. My name is Liam Flanagan and I'll be your musical guide, recommending you the best in music, wherever and whenever it came from. You're currently watching our Eclectic Extra series, where once a month I'm going to be discussing a music recommendation as a bonus for all of our followers across the internet. So now it's time to go over to either my past or my future self and see what recommendation I have for us. Hello and welcome to Eclectic Selections. Today it's episode 4 of Eclectic Extra. We're going to be talking about an album by two artists who were pioneers in admittedly very disparate genres. They came together 22 years ago to make an album that seems to have been underappreciated since it doesn't get the plaudits that it deserves. That album is Stop the Panic by Luke Vibert and BJ Cole. So we're going to talk now a little bit about their individual careers. Before we do, here is the album. First of all, let's talk about BJ Cole. BJ Cole was an innovative pedal steel guitarist. So pedal steel, if you've never ever seen it, is basically a lap-based guitar that has little pedals underneath it that you press down to create sustain. It's used a lot in country music and Hawaiian music. And we'll definitely be talking more about that later, as it definitely has the bearing on the sound of this album. It's not a cool instrument. It's not an electric guitar. It's not edgy. It's not used in cool music. But BJ Cole is definitely an innovator. For instance, he played on Tiny Dancer by Elton John and Joan Armour Trading. It's Down to Zero. Not songs that you necessarily associate with pedal steel. Then in the 70s and 80s, he went on to play on other records for Mark Bolan, Scott Walker, The Stranglers, K.D. Lang and Deep in Blue. Through this work, he gained a lot of respect and he was seen as a creative force. During the 90s, he continued with his innovations, broadening his horizons further, working with people like David Sylvian, Depeche Mode, Bjork, Sting, and John Cale, among others. These collaborations and his own solo recordings opened him up to the opportunities to work in film and TV soundtracks. So by this point, he's built up quite a catalogue, which celebrates anything from the simplicity of the pedal steel in its simplest form to the sophistication of using it as a control instrument, using MIDI technology to control a vast array of sounds within the computer that he's using to record with. So he's a very interesting and talented guy. The other part of this duo is Luke Vibert. Now, he's a music producer from Cornwall, known for his work in many subgenres of electronic music. He's probably most famous for Wagenkreuz, which is his trip-hop project. Took lounge music, exotica, and ambient music and put hip-hop breakbeats underneath. He made a number of critically acclaimed albums under other pseudonyms as well. The Electro Disco of Courier District, lots of drum and bass albums under the name Plug, and various other projects and collaborations outside of that. He's very well thought of. He grew up in Cornwall, where he became part of a little collective of artists who all released records on Reflex Records. They all released records on Warp Records. And this music became known as intelligent dance music or electronica. So Avexton was very much the figurehead of this scene, but there was also a guy called Square Pusher, also from Cornwall. And these are the three sort of main people in this scene. Vibert himself at one point was on Virgin Records, which is a major label in the UK, and he was selling some decent units. He never became a millionaire or anything, but he was doing well for himself. One of his famous collaborations with Jean-Jacques Perrin, who's a French synthesizer player who made lots of music back in the 60s and 70s that got used in adverts and film soundtracks. He continued to be featured in those places. They created a project called Moog or Moog Acid. That was just before Jean-Jacques Perrin passed away. And they also made a score for a film about Bob Moog or Bob Moog, who was the inventor of the Moog/Moog synthesizer, which has been played on millions of records now, probably by this point. Or if it's not being played on it, it's being sampled on it. Vibert also made a vast range of remixes, including Tortoise, the post-rock band from Chicago, 9 Inch Nails, the brilliant Stereolab, a real favourite of mine. We'll definitely be talking about again in the future, but they were featured in episode 1 of our podcast. I'll put a link down in the description. He also remixed his good friends Square Pusher and Meat Beat Manifesto, who were pioneers of drum and bass and jungle in the UK. Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth, the noise rock band. Cold Cut, another UK dance music act who were pioneers at the time, and we talked about them in episode 4 of the podcast / videos here on YouTube. So I'll put links down in the description to do that, where you can find out more about them. Lamb, the Triple Black, and again, David Cillian, who we mentioned earlier. So he's done a lot of remixes with a lot of different artists and high profile artists over the years. So at this point now, let's move on to talking about the album itself. We've talked about the 2 individuals who've made it, and they're both significant individuals by the year 2000. When this album came out, it got a very mixed critical reception initially. Some people were very positive about it, some people were negative about it, and others were lukewarm about it. The album was recorded at the brilliantly named The Batcave, which is BJ Cole's own studio. It's even hinted at on the internet that Luke Vibert might have been a big fan of BJ Cole, so he's going to work with one of his heroes potentially. There's certainly a big age gap between these two people. BJ Cole's career starts in the 70s, whereas Vibert starts around 89, 90, so there's a good 20 years potentially there, age gap. I would say the genres that are present on this album are drum and bass, instrumental hip-hop, and with the pedal steel we get country music and Hawaiian music thrown in as well. What's interesting that I found out while researching this album is that there are a lot of musicians playing on it. Now, I always look at the sleeve notes of an album when I first get them, and I sometimes return to them, but I hadn't looked at the sleeve notes for this for a number of years. And I'd always just been listening to it and thinking that Luke Vibert put together most of the music and then BJ Cole played over the top, and that it was sample-based music. But it's not. There's 5 or 6 musicians, maybe 7 musicians, in addition to BJ Cole playing on this album. And one of those musicians is Tom Jenkinson, aka Square Pusher. And he is someone who makes drum and bass music, but he plays bass on it. He's a classically trained jazz bass player. So you could hear that on the album, on some tracks on the album, he's playing some really nice electric bass guitar. So to conclude this video, I'm going to talk about the fact that I'm surprised when I talk to people who I know are music lovers, and I know a lot about music, they don't know this album. They don't know Stop the Panic. And it really surprises me. I love this album. I think it should be reappraised, not necessarily as a classic, but as a great album. There are 13 tracks on the album, and they're all great. There's not a duff moment on the album, and that's rare. When I make recommendations to you guys here through Eclectic Selections, I have a high threshold, a 75% threshold, a 3/4 threshold. There should be 3/4 of the tracks on any album should be 8 out of 10 or more. That's what I should be thinking and feeling. This is all 8 out of 10 or more through the whole album, and I will put a link in the description so you can go and listen to it and enjoy it, because it's great. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want to support Eclectic Selections and join our community, there are various ways that you can do that. Number 1, you can like, comment and subscribe right here on YouTube. This helps our video get noticed by the YouTube algorithm, and it helps other music lovers like you find great music. You can 2, follow us over on Twitter. Here you'll get the latest news and you'll get extra recommendations. You'll be able to keep up to date with everything Eclectic Selections. You can join our Ko-fi, which is just like Patreon, so you can support us and you'll get access to extra content like private playlists, extra video recommendations from our guests, all that good stuff, and there's more coming in the future. Join our Discord community where you can chat with other music lovers and myself about music and other subjects too. All the links for all of that down in the description in our link tree. Thanks again for watching, and until next Thursday, keep it eclectic.